Marlon Humphrey, somebody who certainly this year stepped up in a major way, not only on the field, but off the field as well. And when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens leaders, you got guys like Roquan Smith, you got guys like Lamar Jackson, you got guys like Kyle Hamilton, but Marlon Humphrey certainly fits the bill when it comes to his leadership. He's been somebody, especially this season, who has been very, very vocal when it comes to stuff, and he will let you know exactly what it is. I remember earlier this season when the Baltimore Ravens defense was just struggling. It was all kinds of bad. And people like me, I'm like, hold up. No. The players didn't change. That's the defensive coordinator. That got to be on Zach Orr because he's the biggest thing that changed from last year to this year. It's all on him. Oh, he got to get this thing right. But Marlon Humphrey said, no. It's not on Zach Orr. He said it's on us, the players. It's our responsibility. It's on the personnel. It ain't got nothing to do with the coaching staff. It ain't got nothing to do with that. And a lot of us would think, oh, yeah, he just talking. He ain't really saying much. But what happened when they made those changes with the players, not the coach? Everything ended up working itself out in a major way, and it was a crazy turnaround. I was like, okay, all right, Marlo, I respect it. But a couple of days ago, Marlon Humphrey, he was giving an exit interview because, of course, unfortunately, Baltimore Ravens season is over. But he said some things, and it made me really wonder.
Kind of has that moment at the end.
Man, honestly, this sounds kind of just, not really a great answer, but there's only a select few people that know they're going to be here next year. There really ain't a true message like this team is done. So obviously there's message to go, but when I look at it, some guys will be here, some guys won't. Who knows what? I know I got no more years guaranteed on this existing contract. So it's whatever message you have, you could be you could be on this team, you could be on another team. Some guys will stay, some guys will leave. And I fall into that same bucket. So the message is, you lost, get over it. And
now that video was brought to you by Baltimore Banner Sports. Make sure you follow them on X. And with Marlon Humphrey, with what he said, he was very, very straightforward. And I don't know if I've ever seen him that straightforward before, because he let it be known, hey, like, some guys are going to be here, some guys are not. And that's true because, Ravens got a long list of pending free agents, and that's cool. But the part that really got me and the part that I questioned with Marlon Humphrey, he spoke about himself, because I don't recall a player like straight up just like that who's already signed to, hey, I ain't got no more guaranteed years on my contract. And that could be interpreted a couple of different ways. The first thing I thought was, oh my goodness, is Marlon Humphrey saying his goodbyes to the Baltimore Ravens? Is Marlon Humphrey letting it be known like, hey, look, I might be on up out of here, so let me get my goodbyes in now? And that's a question. The reason I say that is because I remember before there was a lot of questions about his contract this year. If the Baltimore Ravens could have possibly moved on from him before this year started. That was a big question around Ravens flock. And obviously they didn't. And obviously we're glad that they didn't. And we still don't want them to. But we know in this business, especially when you ain't got no more guaranteed years on your contract, like Marlon Humphrey brought out, anything is possible. This is a real crazy business, and teams got to make tough decisions literally every single year. But we certainly don't want Marlon Humphrey to be one of those tough decisions, because Marlon Humphrey is still an amazing player. And Marlon Humphrey is somebody that is not only still a really, really good cornerback, a really, really great cornerback, but when the time does come, and he did talk about this either last year or the year before last, when that time does come, when Marlon Humphrey starts to slow down, so to speak, him making a transition to safety, it would be seamless, in my opinion. I think Marlon Humphrey would be such an amazing safety. I feel like the switch would be such a smooth transition for him. It really, really would. Because Marlon Humphrey, now, hey, we know he can catch that ball now. He can catch interceptions now. Marlon Humphrey's smart. He's very physical. And he will be one of those safeties where you can move him around. You could have him playing different positions on a. He wouldn't just have to be a traditional safety. He can do that. But you can put him at slot corner. You can put him at outside. You can put him at so many different places, and Marlon Humphrey can get the job done. He's also still an excellent blitzer. So that would be great. But something else, this could have also been for Marlon Humphrey, not even just necessarily a goodbye, but a hello. And what I mean with him saying hello is like, hey, EDC, look. You saw what we just did, especially on defense. You saw what I just did, especially on defense. You know, I'm a key member of this team, a key part of this defense, a key leader for the Baltimore Ravens. I ain't got no more guaranteed years left on my contract, my friend. Let's talk. Let's talk business. Let's talk money. Let's talk contract. Let's rework this thing so I can start having some more guarantees on my deal. So that could have been another message that Marlon Humphrey was sending. But I think the biggest message that he sent in that clip from his presser the other day, well, not a presser, but his exit interview was, hey, we lost. We lost, and we got to get over it. And that it's such a tough message because with fans, we're not over it. And we, yet another year, again, the same old stuff from the Baltimore Ravens, and it hurts like crazy. It still hurts. It's only been a couple of days, and it's painful. But Marlon Humphrey is right. As players, like, they got to keep it moving. Fans, we could relish this a little. We could hang our hats on this and be like, oh, man, this sucks. This is terrible. And it is. And it's going to take a while to get over it. But as far as the players, they got to keep it moving because the NFL is not going to stop for them, and the business is going to continue as usual. So before we continue, make sure you leave a like on the video. You click that thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on so you do not miss a single thing when it comes to our Baltimore Ravens, because even though the Baltimore Ravens, they're going somewhere, which is Cancun, Cabo, whatever. They going on off-season mode. We are not. We are still going to be here every single day. But make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notifications on so you don't miss any of it. Now, we've reached my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the Team Keep It Clean patrons, you can send your question in a DM directly on Patreon. And if you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. And if you would like to ever send us anything, you can send it to our shipping address. It is down below in the description. Now, first question, more so comment. It came from Aisha, and this was a different one because she actually sent something on Venmo. And Aisha, I wanted to publicly thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. She said, this loss made me sick. But yeah, we agree. We all agree. I think everybody here at Team Keep It Clean, we can all agree. I've seen some people saying that they are numb to it because of especially how last year went. I wasn't though. I was not numb to it. I felt all of that pain. It was. I remember after the game ended, I was just sitting there. Just sitting there for about like 30 minutes, just sitting, going through my phone, just scrolling, seeing all this different stuff, and I'm like, man, they really lost, man. They really lost. It hurt bad, man. It really, really did. Like, even thinking about it out loud right now, it was tough, man. And it's like, where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? So, but anyway, we'll talk about that. She said, this loss made me sick, but next year, God willing, Ravens have got to lock in. Yeah, and I hate that. Oh, we got to say that all over again. Oh, well, maybe next year. But anyway, she said, nevertheless, you continue to make quality content. God bless you, and let him continue to guide you. I appreciate that, Aisha. I appreciate and I know it's tough. But I appreciate you highlighting positives despite everything. I do really appreciate that, so thank you. This question came from a patron, my guy Brian. He said, I'm over it, and Lamar is a regular season quarterback. Mark sold the last 2 years wasted. Now, the part that I do agree with, that part is the last 2 years are wasted. I do agree with that. He said, for nothing. Absolutely pathetic. I don't even know why I even cut this on anymore. So this was during the game. It was bad. Now, is Lamar a regular season quarterback? No. Did he mess up in the playoffs? Yes. But did he do enough for the Baltimore Ravens to win? or to come back and tie it up. Yeah, he did. He definitely cleaned it up in the second half. The first half definitely contributed to the loss too, because that first half, the interception that took away points, while it didn't give points to the Buffalo Bills, it took away possible points from the Ravens. So that obviously contributed. And then the fumble. The fumble, it was just, while, yeah, there was a preview, a sequence of events, but he was part of those events, because before that fumble, there was a Mark Andrews drop. And then right at that fumble, it was a bad snap, but still, Lamar Jackson, he's still responsible for fumbling the ball, because he fumbled the ball. And then that led to points for the Buffalo Bills. So, but in the end, like I said, in the second half, he cleaned it all up. He did more than enough in the second half to get the job done. But then some other people, they started messing up, like a Mark Andrews with his fumble and then his drop at the very, oh my goodness, it was so bad, man. But I can't say Lamar is just a regular season quarterback. I get why. That's still going to be a narrative, though. It's still going to be a narrative because the Baltimore Ravens did not get the job done. They still failed. So Lamar, with his playoff record, I think right now it's like 3-5, something like that. So that narrative is still going to continue, but it's like the Ravens, they're not going to be able to fight it. They're not going to be able to do anything. Lamar's not going to be able to do anything about that narrative until January 2026. That is probably the most painful part about all of this. They're not going to be, the Ravens, they ain't going to be able to do nothing about that narrative until next year. Next question came from my guy, Derrick, who's also a patron. He said, Ingraven, thank you for a great season, man. No, I appreciate you, and I appreciate y'all, man. I ain't do nothing. It was all y'all this season, straight up, man. He said, thank you, brother, but I hate to say it. The 12-year mark is over. Yeah, it is. It is. Even before the season started, before I even started thinking about all the 12-year stuff and whatnot, but I really thought like, Ravens going to get it. I was very, very confident that they would get it this, but yeah. He said, we as fans have to realize what was in the Ray Lewis era is not in the Lamar era at all, or will it ever be. Lamar may end up like Dan Marino because he's never going to win a Super Bowl here. I disagree, but I get why a lot of people can feel that way right now. I understand why a lot of people feel that way right now, because especially after these last 2 years, like after 2019, that killing that they were on, it's like, oh man, and then they lost. It's like, okay, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just get punched in the mouth. Okay, it is what it is. And then 2020, it's like, oh, okay, we want to play for our first playoff. Oh, but then we lost to the Bills. But 2023 and 24. It's like, we got some squads on both sides of the ball. Whoa, we clicking on both sides of the ball, rolling into the playoffs. Oh, let's go. Number 1 seed, number 3 seed. Oh yeah, and then after that, both 2 years straight. I completely understand why so many people they feel like, oh, can it ever happen? Will it ever happen? And it's frustrating, man. It really is. He said that Lamar needs to take less money, in which he most likely will not, to bring in more talent here. I disagree with that. It's not a talent thing. And you think about this too. With Lamar Jackson, like without him, Ravens would not even be in this situation. They will not even be in the playoffs, as we know. But it's not a talent thing with the teams. It's not. They've had more than enough on both sides of the ball to get it done. It hasn't been. Now they could add even more talent to overcome any like deficiencies that any issues that they have, especially when it comes to being in the playoffs. But it's not a talent thing. That's the crazy. It's not. Especially these past 2 years. It's not about talent, man. It's not. I don't know how they're gonna get this thing fixed. I don't know how they're gonna get over the hump, because they got everything that they need, man. And obviously now they're gonna have a much different team next year. But it has not been a talent thing with them. He said, it is what it is. We got Ray Lewis 2 rings. It's sad, but Lamar may never get one in a Ravens uniform. Let's just call a spade, man. And by the way, Dennis Pitta would have made that catch. Oh, that's a tough blow at the end. Next question is from another Team Keep It Clean patron, my guy Bill. He said, I know that we just lost, but who are we re-signing and who are we letting go for next season? My guy Bill, he was straight to it. He said, we lost. I'm moving on. Bring on next season. He said, and also, I know that everyone is heated with Andrews when he fumbled. In my opinion, it was just a good play from the Bills player, but you can't defend Mark Andrews for dropping that wide open pass to tie the game. Yeah, it was a great play by the Bills defender, but it Mark Andrews, yeah, it was a great play, and it was a bad play by Mark Andrews, great play by the Bills defender. And again, I didn't have any problem with Mark Andrews trying to get more yet. There was nothing wrong with that. Players do it all the time, especially on the Baltimore Ravens, and it works out a lot of times for them. But he just didn't hold on to the ball. But yeah, that last one was rough. As far as Ravens, their free agents, they got a long list of people. Salah, Corey Bulliger, Malik Cunningham, Darian Dalcourt, and oh my goodness, I think this is just their practice squad alone. But as far as free agent, Nelson Aguilar, Chris Board, Ben Cleveland, Malik Harrison, Deontay Hardy, Christian Welch, Josh Johnson, Josh Jones, Pat McCarry, Trayvon Mullen, Pat Ricard, Steven Sims, Ronnie Stanley, Brandon Stevens, Brent Urban, Tylen Wallace, Tre'Davious White. So it's a long list of names. So they got some decisions to make. They really do. So it's going to be yet another busy offseason for Eric DeCosta and those Baltimore Ravens in that front office when it comes to building this team. Next question came from my guy Kyle, who is also a patron. He said, "Hey, Ingraven, how you doing during these hard times? LOL." Hey, you already know, man. He said, "I'm sure Team Keep It Clean is keeping you busy with all the questions they are sending in." Yes, we have a lot of questions, but the sad part is that we have plenty of time to get through all of them because we ain't got no game coming up. Anyway, he said, but I just want to comment on the future of these Baltimore Ravens. In my opinion, I think that next year is the last and final chance the Ravens have to make it to the Super Bowl under the Lamar era. Now, why is that? Because I saw somebody say something similar. They were like, oh, this was the last year. They were saying that this was the last year that the Ravens have. Their window is closed now. But why? Why would it be? Anyway, he said, I could be wrong, but I think the window is closing, and next year is our final chance, which is why I propose this. Why, in my opinion, as long as you have Lamar Jackson, then your window is open. It is. Even despite all the narratives that are going to be there, that, again, Ravens can't push back on those narratives because they lost again. They can't push back on them because they lost again. But as long as Lamar Jackson is here, you're going to be a good football team. As long as he's here, you're going to be a good football team because he makes up for a lot of mistakes that the Baltimore Ravens commit. He cleans up a lot of that stuff. Now we just playoff time. They got to get even better. So, but you're not gonna just all of a sudden become this bad football team. Not with a Lamar Jackson here, no. Anyway, he said, which is why I propose this. I think that the Ravens should do what the Rams did and go all in. Now, I wouldn't be mad at that. He said, I don't care how many picks we have to give away, how much money we have to pay. It's time to go all in. So he want to go crazy with it. Now, Ravens, over these past couple of years, they have built some really good rosters. They haven't gone all in, but they've gone in quite a bit. But they ain't gone all in, but they've had some nice teams. He said, in addition, I know it is unlikely, but if I were the Ravens, I would try to convince Todd Monken to stay for one more year. He just might end up doing that. He said, I know it's a long shot, but maybe he can stay and take this offense to new highs with all the talent we can acquire if we go all in. In my personal opinion, we go all in to get a better offensive line, specifically the guard positions. Well, Pat McCarthy's a free agent. Ben Cleveland's a free agent. You know Ben Cleveland ain't coming back. You know they ain't bringing him back. But so yeah, so there's something's gonna happen there one way or another. And then at tackle, Ronnie Stanley is a pending free agent. So if they don't re-sign him, he's gone. He's gone. So you got a new left tackle. So either way, this Ravens offensive line is going to look significantly different yet again, 3 years straight. But hey, obviously they were good enough to get the job done this year. They were up and down. They had their moments, but they brought it together and they were able to get the job done. They were good enough to get the job done this year. Were they the best offensive line in the league? No, they weren't. But again, it was good enough. Anyway, he said, get a top tier edge rusher. That would be great. And he said, get another corner to replace that bum Brandon Stevens. I can't call him no bum. He's an NFL player. He ain't no bum. If he was a bum, he would not be in the league at all. He does struggle. He has his issues, but I can't call no NFL player no bum. But anyway, he said, but with this being said, even if we go all in, I'm still not confident in the Ravens stacking consistent playoff wins and making it to the Super Bowl. See what y'all done, Ravens, man? Y'all got a lot of Ravens fans feeling like, oh, this might never happen. The confidence is at an all-time low right now. Regular season, we ain't worried about that. And this is the same thing we all said last year, too. We ain't worried about regular season, but it's playoffs where we worried. He said, but that could just be me. No, it's not just you. It's a lot of people. He said, I just want to get your opinion on this, and if you think the Ravens should go all in. Oh, I would not have a problem with that at all. We've been saying that for years. I think with the Baltimore Ravens, while we talked about like this year and last year, they didn't go all in. But it was a lot of small moves that they made that made big differences. Like you look at 2 years ago, they signed in Jadeveon Clowney, super cheap. Signed Kyle Vanoy, super cheap. And those moves worked out like crazy. Like and even Ronald Darby, he was another one, super cheap, worked out. But then this year they brought back Chris Board. And I was thinking, oh, okay, well, special team sign. No, he ended up being a starter down the road in the season, and it ended up working out a lot. They had re-signed Malik Harrison. I think they re-signed him either last year or this past offseason. I forget which one. Small deal, but it made a difference. Then they brought back Kyle Vanoy again. And small deal, but that made a big difference. So yeah, it's a lot of small stuff, and obviously the Derrick Henry deal, it wasn't no crazy deal. So, but that obviously made a big difference. That's Derrick Henry. But Ravens did a lot of small signings. Steven Sims, he made a positive impact on the Baltimore Ravens down the stretch. So it was a lot of different small things that helped out. But Ravens could really go in. Oh yeah, that'd be something right there. He said, I'm going to end it here as this is already a long question, LOL, but I'm sure I'll have more questions to come in the upcoming weeks. Yeah, and we'll have plenty of time to answer them. He said, I just want to thank you for making this season as amazing as it was, and you definitely made this loss easier to digest. Keep up the good work, and don't worry, you'll see a lot more of my questions soon, LOL. Hope you and your family have a good day and week. Kyle, I love you, man. I love you, and I appreciate you ending it on such a positive note.